Jake Morrison stared at the coffee mug sitting on the metal table. It was a simple white cup with a small chip on the handle. Nothing special about it. But this mug was about to make history, though Jake did not know it yet. The laboratory was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Jake wiped sweat from his hands on his lab coat. After 3 years of work, today was the day they would test the first-time machine built by humans. Well, they called it the Temporal Gateway, but it was really just a fancy name for a time machine. Lisa Carter stood next to him, checking numbers on her computer screen. She had been Jake's partner on this project from the very beginning. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she had not slept much in the past week. None of them had. "Are you sure about this?" Lisa asked for the 10th time that morning. "We have run the tests 100 times, Jake said. "We send the mug back 30 seconds. It appears 30 seconds ago. We prove time travel works. Simple." Commander Alex Stone watched from behind a thick glass wall. The military had been funding this project, so they sent someone to watch every test. Alex was a good guy, but he always looked worried when they did experiments. Dr. Ben Taylor sat at another computer watching waves and lines that showed how space and time bent around their machine. Ben was the smart one who figured out the math that made all this possible. Jake just built what Ben told him to build. The temporal gateway did not look like much. It was just a big metal ring with lots of wires and strange parts attached to it. The ring was about 6 feet wide, big enough for a person to walk through, though they were not planning to send people through it yet. That would come later, if this test worked. "Power levels are good," Lisa said. "All systems show green." Jake picked up the coffee mug and walked to the metal ring. He placed the mug on a small platform inside the ring. The plan was simple. Send the mug back in time 30 seconds. The mug would appear on the same platform 30 seconds ago. They would see 2 mugs for 30 seconds, then the first one would disappear when it got sent back in time. "Starting countdown," Ben said. 10 seconds. Jake's heart beat fast. This was it. 3 years of work. If this worked, humans would be the first species in the galaxy to master time travel. No alien race had ever done it. The Zephyrians could bend space, but not time. The Helix Collective could do amazing math, but they said time travel was impossible. 5 seconds, Ben counted. Jake looked at Lisa. She gave him a small smile and a thumbs up. 3, 2, 1. Activating temporal gateway. The ring began to glow with a soft blue light. Energy crackled around the edges. The coffee mug sat perfectly still on the platform. Everything looked normal. Then something went wrong. The blue light turned bright white. The air around the ring began to shimmer like heat waves on a hot day. Jake heard a sound like glass breaking, but he could not see any broken glass. "Power surge!" Lisa shouted over the noise. "Something is wrong with the energy flow." Jake tried to reach the emergency stop button, but the air felt thick like trying to move through water. The white light got brighter and brighter. Then Jake saw something that made his blood turn cold. There was another Jake standing next to him. This other Jake was wearing the same clothes, had the same worried look on his face, and was reaching for the same emergency button. "What the hell?" the other Jake said at the exact same time as the real Jake. Lisa saw it too. "There are 2 of you," she said in a quiet voice. Then she looked to her left and screamed. There was another Lisa there looking just as scared. The laboratory was filling up with copies of themselves. Jake saw 3 Bens, 2 Commander Stones behind the glass, and more Lisas appearing every second. But they were not exact copies. Some were wearing different colored shirts. One Jake had a beard. One Lisa had short hair instead of long. "Turn it off," Jake yelled. "I am trying," Ben shouted back, but Jake could hear 4 different Bens saying the same thing. The coffee mug was still sitting on the platform, but now there were dozens of coffee mugs. Some were white, some were blue. One was broken, and one seemed to be made of metal instead of ceramic. The shimmer in the air got stronger. Jake could see through it like looking through water, but on the other side was another laboratory. In that laboratory, people who looked like his team were doing the same experiment, but their equipment was different. Their temporal gateway was silver instead of gray. "Jake," Lisa said, and her voice sounded strange. I do not think we built a time machine. Jake stared at the dozens of versions of himself running around the laboratory. Some were trying to turn off machines. Others were just standing there looking confused. One version of himself was writing notes on a clipboard, acting like this was all perfectly normal. Then what did we build? Jake asked. Ben's voice came over the speaker system, but it sounded weird, like several Bens talking at once. I think we broke reality. The white light was getting dimmer now, but the shimmer in the air was getting stronger. Through it, Jake could see more laboratories, more versions of his team, more experiments. In one, they were celebrating like the test worked perfectly. In another, the room was on fire. In a third, everyone was running away from something Jake could not see. Commander, Stone's voice came through the intercom from behind the glass. Dr. Morrison, please tell me you have an explanation for this. Jake looked at all the versions of himself, then at the window that showed other realities where his experiment had different results. He thought about all the alien races in the galaxy who said time travel was impossible. He thought about how humans always tried things that other species thought were too dangerous. Well, Jake said slowly, the good news is that we proved time travel is possible. And the bad news? Lisa asked. Jake watched another version of himself walk through the shimmer in the air and disappear into a different reality. The bad news is that we did not just travel through time. We broke through the walls between different realities, and now they are all connected to our laboratory. The room was full of different versions of his team now. Some were working together to understand what happened. Others were arguing about what to do next. A few were just sitting down looking overwhelmed by it all. Jake realized something that made him both excited and terrified. Humans had just done something that no other species in the galaxy had ever accomplished. They had not just built a time machine. They had accidentally built a gateway between alternate realities. So, Jake said to himself and to all the other versions of himself in the room, apparently time machines can generate alternate realities. My bad. But as he watched different versions of his team working together across reality barriers, Jake started to think that maybe this mistake was the best thing that had ever happened to humanity. 2 hours after the accident, Admiral Kate Williams stood in the hallway outside Jake's laboratory. She had flown here as fast as her ship could travel after getting the emergency report. Through the thick glass window, she could see at least 20 people who all looked exactly like Jake Morrison. How many realities are we dealing with? She asked Commander Stone. We have counted 12 different versions so far, Stone replied. But more keep showing up. Some stay for a few minutes, then go back through the shimmer. Others seem to be staying permanently. Kate watched as 2 different Jakes argued about something while a third Jake took notes. Can they communicate with us? Oh yes, Stone said. That is the interesting part. They are not just copies. They are real people from real alternate realities. Each one has different memories and experiences. Kate rubbed her temples. She had been a fleet commander for 15 years, but nothing had prepared her for this. What do the alien governments know? Everything, Stone said quietly. The energy burst from the experiment was detected by monitoring stations across 3 star systems. Every major alien civilization knows that humans just did something impossible. Through the glass, Kate saw Dr. Ben Taylor talking to 4 other versions of himself. They were drawing diagrams on a whiteboard, working together to figure out what had happened. The Zephyrian sent a message an hour ago, Stone continued. They want to know how we broke through dimensional barriers. They have been trying to do it for 3,000 years and never succeeded. Kate was not surprised. The Zephyrians were masters of space manipulation. They could fold space to travel faster than light, create gravity wells, and bend light around their ships. But they had always said that time and dimension travel was impossible. What about the others? The Helix Collective is demanding a full explanation. Their message said, and I quote, "Mathematical impossibility has become empirical reality. Explanation required immediately." The Ethereal Confederation wants to send observers. The Void Walkers have gone completely silent, which is never a good sign. Kate nodded. The alien reactions were what she had expected. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 200 years ago. Most alien species were thousands of years older and more advanced, but humans had a reputation for doing things that others thought were impossible. Dr. Ryan Clark approached them. He was a xenobiology expert who studied how different alien species thought and behaved. His face was pale and he looked excited. "Admiral," he said, "you need to hear this. I have been monitoring alien communication channels. They are not just curious about what we did. They are scared." "Scared of what?" Kate asked. "Scared of us," Ryan said. "The Zephyrians have been the masters of space-time manipulation for millennia. They pride themselves on understanding the universe better than anyone. But humans just did something they consider impossible, with primitive equipment, by accident." Through the glass, Kate saw Jake Morrison talking to a version of himself who was wearing a completely different style of clothing. This other Jake seemed to be from a reality where fashion had developed differently. "There is more," Ryan continued. "I intercepted a message from the Helix Collective to their homeworld. They are calling this the human chaos factor. They think humans might be evolutionarily designed to break rules that other species follow." Kate felt a chill. "What do you mean by that?" "Think about it," Ryan said. "Most species develop along predictable paths. They master fire, then metals, then energy, then space travel. They follow logical progression. But humans skip steps. We went from horse-drawn carriages to spaceflight in 200 years. Other species took thousands." Inside the lab, Lisa Carter was showing a group of alternate reality versions of herself how their computer systems worked. The other Lisas were taking notes and asking questions. "The aliens are starting to realize something," Ryan continued. "While they evolved toward specialization and caution, humans evolved toward experimentation and risk-taking. We try things that other species would never attempt because they are too dangerous." Ambassador Jo Lin joined their group. She was responsible for human diplomatic relations with alien governments, and she looked stressed. "I have been fielding calls from every major alien government for the past hour," she said. "They all want the same thing. They want to know how we did it, and they want to know if we can do it again." "Can we?" Kate asked. Joe looked through the glass at the dozens of alternate versions of the research team. "According to the scientists in there, yes. Not only can we do it again, but we are getting better at it. The different versions of the team are sharing information across realities. They are learning from each other." Kate watched as a version of Jake from another reality showed the original Jake a device that looked more advanced than anything in their laboratory. "That Jake is from a reality where they succeeded with their experiment 3 months ago," Joe explained. "He is teaching our Jake how to control the process better. Our Jake is sharing information about the accidental breakthrough. Together, they are figuring out things that neither could have learned alone." "The alien governments are not just scared," Ryan added. "They are fascinated. The Ethereal Confederation sent a message saying that humans might represent something they call a chaos species. A species that drives evolution and change throughout the galaxy by refusing to accept limitations." Kate felt a mixture of pride and worry. "What does that mean for us?" "It means," Joe said, "that every alien civilization is watching us very carefully. Some want to learn from us, others want to control us, and a few probably want to eliminate us before we accidentally break something more important than reality." Through the glass, Kate saw the original Jake Morrison walk up to the window. He looked tired but excited. He gestured for her to come into the laboratory. Kate put on a protective suit and walked through the airlock into the lab. The air felt strange, like it was vibrating slightly. The shimmer that connected to other realities was still there, but it seemed more stable now. "Admiral," Jake said, "I need to show you something amazing." He led her to where Ben Taylor was working with multiple versions of himself. They had covered several whiteboards with equations and diagrams. "We figured out what we actually built," Jake said. "It is not a time machine. It is a reality navigation device. We can use consciousness and decision-making to move between different versions of the universe." Kate stared at the equations. She did not understand the math, but she understood the implications. "You mean we can choose which reality we want to visit?" Better than that, said one of the alternate Bens. We can see how different decisions lead to different outcomes. We can explore infinite variations of history and learn from all of them. Jake nodded enthusiastically. Admiral, every decision that was ever made created a new reality where a different choice was made. We can visit realities where humans never left Earth, or where we contacted aliens 1,000 years ago, or where we developed completely different technologies. Kate felt overwhelmed. How many realities are there? Infinite, all the Bens said at the same time. But here is the really interesting part, Jake continued. According to our calculations, and confirmed by our alternate selves, humans are the first species in this galactic sector to achieve multidimensional awareness. We have done something that civilizations millions of years older than us have never accomplished. Through the shimmer, Kate could see another version of herself. In a different reality, this other Kate was wearing a different uniform and talking to a Jake who looked slightly older. The alien governments do not know what to do with us, Jake said. They have spent millennia following careful logical development paths. They test everything extensively before trying it. But humans just dive in and try things to see what happens. And that approach just gave us access to infinite realities, Lisa added, walking over with several alternate versions of herself. Kate looked around the laboratory filled with multiple versions of the same people, all working together to understand their breakthrough. She thought about the alien reactions, the fear and fascination in their messages. So what happens now? She asked. Jake grinned. Now we start exploring. We have made contact with 12 different realities so far. Each one has different versions of human history and development. We can learn from all of them. And the aliens? They want to learn from us, Jake said. For the first time since humans joined the galactic community, we have something that advanced alien civilizations do not have and cannot figure out on their own. Kate realized that humanity's position in the galaxy had just changed completely. They were no longer the young, primitive species that other civilizations tolerated. They had become something unique and valuable. Jake, she said, I think we just became the most important species in the galaxy. Jake looked through the shimmer at dozens of other realities where different versions of himself were making the same discovery. Yeah, he said. And we did. Completely by accident. I bet the aliens are going to love that. 1 week after the breakthrough, Captain Sam Rodriguez stepped through the shimmer into an alternate reality for the first time. The feeling was strange, like walking through thick air that tingled against his skin. When he came out the other side, he was still in the same laboratory, but everything was slightly different. The walls were blue instead of white. The temporal gateway was made of silver metal instead of gray. And the Jake Morrison in this reality had a beard and wore glasses. Welcome to Reality B7, the bearded Jake said with a smile. We have been waiting for you. Sam looked around. This laboratory was cleaner and more organized than the one he came from. The equipment looked more advanced and there were computers he did not recognize. How long have you been able to travel between realities? Sam asked. About 6 months, the bearded Jake replied. But we only discovered one other reality before you found us. Your breakthrough connected us to 11 more realities all at once. Sam nodded. His reality, which they now called Reality A1, had become a hub connecting multiple alternate versions of Earth. Each reality had developed differently, creating a network of human civilizations that could share knowledge and technology. Dr. Nina Foster, a psychologist who was studying the effects of cross-dimensional contact, walked through the shimmer behind Sam. She had been interviewing people who had met alternate versions of themselves, and the results were fascinating. The mental adaptation is remarkable, she told the bearded Jake. People are accepting alternate realities much faster than we expected. Humans seem to be naturally flexible when it comes to impossible situations. The bearded Jake laughed. That does sound like humans. In our reality, when we first contacted the galactic community 50 years ago, the aliens were amazed by how quickly we adapted to the idea of other intelligent species. They said most civilizations need decades to accept that they are not alone in the universe. Sam was interested. You made contact with aliens 50 years before we did? Yes, but it slowed down our technological development, the bearded Jake explained. The aliens taught us their methods, their careful approaches to science. We became more cautious, more systematic. That is why it took us 6 months to achieve what you did by accident in a few hours. Nina took notes. So the reality where humans developed independently actually developed faster because we kept our experimental nature. Exactly, the bearded Jake said. The aliens are fascinated by this. Your reality's version of humanity represents what they call pure human chaos. Our reality shows what happens when human development is guided by alien caution. Through the laboratory windows, Sam could see a city that looked almost like new, Geneva but with different architecture. The buildings were taller and had more curves. Flying vehicles moved between the structures in organized patterns. What do your aliens think about the reality breakthrough? Sam asked. The bearded Jake's expression became serious. They are terrified. When we told them that an alternate version of humanity had achieved multidimensional travel by accident, the Zephyrian ambassador actually fell down. We had to call their medical team. Nina looked up from her notes. Terrified? Why? Because it confirms their worst fears about human unpredictability. In our reality, they have spent 50 years trying to make us more careful and systematic, but your reality proves that human chaos is not a flaw to be fixed. It is our greatest strength. General Paul Harris walked through the shimmer, followed by several soldiers. He was responsible for planning defense strategies now that humanity had access to multiple realities. Jake, he said to the bearded scientist, we need to discuss security concerns. What happens if hostile aliens try to use our reality gateways? The bearded Jake thought for a moment. The interesting thing is that the gateways only respond to human consciousness. We have tried to get aliens to travel between realities, but it does not work for them. Something about the way human minds work is necessary for dimensional navigation. So it is a uniquely human ability? General Harris asked. As far as we can tell, yes. The aliens in our reality have been studying our gateway for months. They can see the dimensional portals, but they cannot use them. One Zephyrian scientist called it a technology that requires chaos-based thinking to operate. Sam walked to a window and looked out at the alternate city. What other differences are there between our realities? Many small things, the bearded Jake said. Different historical events, different technological developments, different cultural changes. But the biggest difference is in how humans approach problems. Your reality kept the experimental approach that leads to breakthrough discoveries. Our reality became more methodical and safe. Nina continued taking notes. The psychological implications are enormous. We are not just sharing technology between realities, we are sharing different approaches to human development. A communication device on the wall started beeping. The bearded Jake activated it, and the face of an alien appeared on the screen. The creature had purple skin and large golden eyes. Dr. Morrison, the alien said in accented English, the Ethereal Confederation Council has reached a decision regarding your reality portal technology. What is their decision, Ambassador Zeth? The bearded Jake asked. They want to formally classify humanity as a Type X civilization. Sam had never heard that term before. What is Type X? The alien's golden eyes focused on Sam, and it seemed surprised to see him. You are from the original reality, the one that achieved the breakthrough? Yes, sir. Ambassador Zeth's expression became very serious. Type X is a classification we created specifically for your species. Most civilizations follow predictable development patterns. Type I harnesses planetary energy. Type 2 harnesses stellar energy. Type 3 harnesses galactic energy. But humans have jumped directly from Type Y to something beyond our classification system. General Harris stepped forward. Beyond your system? Yes. You have achieved multidimensional existence while still being confined to a single solar system. This should be impossible according to all known laws of cosmic development. Nina looked fascinated. So we are the first species to develop this way? In this galactic sector, yes. The Confederation has existed for 50 million years, and we have never encountered a species that develops the way humans do. You skip stages, ignore limitations, and achieve impossible results through pure experimental chaos. The bearded Jake nodded. Ambassador Zeth, what does this classification mean for humanity? It means that every advanced civilization in the galaxy is watching you. Some want to study you, some want to learn from you, some want to become allies, and some are afraid of what you might do next. Sam felt a mixture of pride and concern. Are any of them planning to take action against us? Ambassador Zeth was quiet for a moment. Not directly, but the Voidwalkers have requested permission to observe human development more closely. The Deep Circle wants to establish permanent monitoring stations in your space, and the Ancient Collective has awakened several dormant civilizations to discuss the human situation. That sounds ominous, General Harris said. Not ominous. Unprecedented. In 50 million years, no species has caused this level of galactic attention. Your breakthrough has changed the balance of power in ways we are still trying to understand. Through the reality portal, Sam could see his original laboratory where Jake Morrison was working with multiple versions of himself from different realities. Each version brought different knowledge and experience, creating a combined intelligence that far exceeded what any single reality could achieve. Ambassador, Sam said, what happens next? Next, you continue being human. You experiment, you take risks, you achieve impossible things. And the rest of the galaxy will adapt to the new reality you have created. After the communication ended, the bearded Jake turned to the group. There is something else you should know. We have been in contact with Reality C-15, where humans achieved dimensional travel 3 years ago. They have established colonies in 47 alternate realities. Nina looked amazed. 47? What are they like? Each colony is different, based on the unique conditions of their reality. In one, Earth never developed complex life, so they are terraforming a completely empty planet. In another, dinosaurs never went extinct, so they are sharing the world with intelligent reptiles. Sam realized the full scope of what was happening. We are not just connecting alternate versions of human civilization, we are creating a multi-dimensional human empire. More than that, the bearded Jake said. We are becoming something that has never existed before, a species that exists across infinite realities, sharing knowledge and experience from every possible version of human development. General Harris looked thoughtful. The aliens are right to be amazed, and maybe right to be afraid. Sam nodded, looking through the portal at the dozens of other realities visible through the dimensional gateway. Each one showed a different path human civilization could have taken, and now they could learn from all of them. Jake, he said to the bearded scientist, I think humanity just became something entirely new in the universe. Yeah, the bearded Jake replied with a grin, and we did it the most human way possible. We broke something by accident and turned it into the greatest discovery in galactic history. 3 months after first contact with alternate realities, Dr. Ellen Price stood before the largest dimensional gateway ever constructed. It was 50 feet tall and hummed with energy that made the air shimmer like heat waves. This was not built to connect to accidental alternate realities. This gateway was designed to create new ones on purpose. Are you certain this is safe? Asked Captain Tony Mitchell, the pilot who would command the first reality-jumping exploration ship. Ellen checked her instruments one more time. Safe? Probably not. Possible, definitely. That seems to be the human way. Tony laughed. Fair enough. How many new realities can we create? According to our calculations, infinite. Every conscious decision creates a branching point where reality splits. We have learned to navigate those branches and even create new ones by making specific choices at exact moments. The project had grown far beyond Jake Morrison's original accident. Teams of scientists from dozens of alternate realities were now working together, combining knowledge from different versions of human development. The result was technology that surpassed anything any single reality could have achieved alone. Ambassador Maria Santos walked up to them. She was humanity's first ambassador to pan-dimensional entities, being so advanced that they existed across multiple realities simultaneously. The Transcendent Council has agreed to meet with us, Maria announced. They want to discuss humanity's rapid expansion across dimensional space. Ellen was excited and nervous. The Transcendent Council was made up of entities from civilizations that had evolved beyond single reality existence millions of years ago. They were so advanced that they barely interacted with ordinary species. What do they want? Tony asked. To understand how we achieved multidimensional awareness so quickly, Maria replied. According to them, it usually takes a species millions of years to develop the mental capacity for reality manipulation. We did it by accident in a single afternoon. Through the massive gateway, Ellen could see a swirling pattern of colors that represented the space between realities. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. There is something else, Maria continued. The council mentioned that reality manipulation can be dangerous. They said improper use could unravel entire cosmic regions. Tony raised his eyebrows. Unravel? What does that mean? They were not specific, but they implied that reality has limits. Push too hard in the wrong direction, and whole sections of the universe could collapse into chaos. Ellen felt a chill. Are we in danger of doing that? They do not think so yet, but they want to teach us proper dimensional mechanics before we accidentally break something important. The gateway finished charging, and Ellen gave Tony the signal. His ship, the Reality Walker, was the first vessel designed specifically for dimensional travel. It was sleek and silver, with technology borrowed from 17 different alternate realities. Beginning dimensional jump, Tony announced over the radio. Creating new reality branch in 3, 2, 1. The gateway flared with brilliant light, and Tony's ship disappeared into the swirling colors. Ellen watched her instruments carefully. Creating intentional alternate realities was much more complex than traveling to existing ones. Jump successful, came Tony's voice through the dimensional communicator. I am in a reality where... Wait, this is interesting. What do you see? Ellen asked. I am still in our solar system, but Earth is completely different. It looks like it is covered in crystal structures instead of cities. And there are ships in orbit that I do not recognize. Ellen checked her readings. You have successfully created a reality branch where human development took a completely different path. What else do you see? The crystal structures are moving. I think they are alive, and the ships are approaching my position. Suddenly, a new voice came through the communicator. It spoke English, but with a strange accent. Unknown vessel, this is Crystal Singer Harmony of the Earth Collective. You appear to be human, but your technology is unfamiliar. What reality did you originate from? Ellen's mouth fell open. Tony, the humans in that reality have developed into something completely different. Crystal Singer Harmony, Tony replied. I am Captain Tony Mitchell from Reality A1. We have recently developed the ability to travel between alternate realities. Reality A1? We have never encountered travelers from that designation. Please prepare to be escorted to our dimensional analysis facility. Ellen was fascinated. Tony, you have made contact with a version of humanity that evolved into a crystal-based civilization. This is exactly what we hope to achieve. Over the next hour, Ellen listened as Tony communicated with the crystal humans. They had developed, along completely different lines, integrating with silicon-based life forms and creating a collective consciousness that spanned their entire planet. They want to share information, Tony reported. Apparently they achieved dimensional awareness 200 years ago but have been unable to create new realities. Our technique is completely different from theirs. Ellen realized the implications. We are not just exploring alternate realities. We are connecting different evolutionary paths of human development and sharing knowledge between them. Maria activated her own communicator. Ellen, I am receiving a message from the Transcendent Council. They want to meet immediately. Now. Right now. They say that creating intentional reality branches has attracted attention from entities we are not ready to encounter. Ellen felt worried. What kind of entities? Before Maria could answer, alarms started sounding throughout the facility. Ellen, looked at her instruments and saw readings that should have been impossible. "Something is coming through the dimensional barrier," she announced. "Something big." The air in front of the gateway began to shimmer, but not like the gentle shimmer of their reality portals. This was violent, like reality was being torn apart. Then something stepped through. It was tall and seemed to be made of shifting geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. When it spoke, its voice came from everywhere at once. "Greetings, young reality shapers." Ellen tried to speak but found her voice was not working properly. The entity's presence seemed to interfere with normal physics. "Do not be afraid," the entity continued. "I am Observer Prime of the Pan-Dimensional Collective. We have been watching your species since you achieved multi-reality awareness." Maria stepped forward, somehow finding her voice. "We are honored by your presence, Observer Prime. We have been hoping to meet advanced pan-dimensional entities. And we have been eager to meet you. Your species represents something we have never encountered before." "What do you mean?" Ellen managed to ask. "Most species that achieve dimensional travel do so through careful study and gradual development over millions of years. But humans achieved it through chaos, accident, and pure experimental boldness. You represent a completely new approach to cosmic evolution." Tony's voice came through the communicator from the crystal reality. "Ellen, are you getting readings on a massive dimensional presence? The Crystal Collective says something unprecedented just entered our local dimensional space." "That would be Observer Prime," Ellen replied. "We are meeting pan-dimensional entities for the first time." Observer Prime's geometric form shifted into something slightly more comfortable to look at. "Captain Mitchell, your creation of intentional reality branches has been noticed by entities across multiple dimensional layers. Some are curious, some are concerned, and some are excited." "Excited about what?" Tony asked. "About the possibility that humans might be the key to the next stage of cosmic evolution. You see, most civilizations eventually reach a plateau in their development. They become stable, predictable, and cautious. But humans seem to maintain their chaotic creativity, even as they gain power over reality itself." Ellen felt amazed. "Are you saying that human unpredictability is valuable to advanced civilizations?" "More than valuable. It may be essential. The universe needs species that are willing to try impossible things, to break rules, to experiment with dangerous concepts. That is how new discoveries are made, how evolution continues." Maria stepped closer to Observer Prime. "What do you want from us?" "We want to teach you. Reality manipulation is more powerful and more dangerous than you realize. With proper training, humans could become the first species to achieve what we call cosmic transcendence." "And without proper training?" Ellen asked. Observer Prime's form flickered ominously. "Without proper training, you might accidentally unravel the fabric of existence itself. Your chaotic approach to problem-solving could destroy entire galactic clusters." Tony's voice crackled through the communicator. "The Crystal Collective is detecting massive dimensional instabilities. They say reality is fluctuating in ways they have never seen before." Ellen looked at her instruments and saw that Tony was right. Their experiments with intentional reality creation were causing ripples throughout dimensional space. "Observer Prime," she said. "Are we in immediate danger?" "Not immediate, no. But you are approaching dangerous territory very quickly. That is why the Pan-Dimensional Collective has decided to intervene." "Intervene how?" "By offering you a choice. We can teach you to control your reality-shaping abilities properly, but only if you can prove that humanity will not destroy everything with reckless experimentation." Ellen thought about Jake Morrison's original accident, about the 6 months after Observer Prime's arrival. President Lisa Chen stood on the observation deck of humanity's first multi-dimensional space station. Through the massive windows, she could see 12 different versions of Earth floating in dimensional space, each one representing a different path human civilization had taken. "The test results are in," Dr. Kevin Wright announced as he walked up beside her. Kevin was the director of the new Department of Reality Affairs, created specifically to manage humanity's expanding presence across multiple dimensions. "And?" Lisa asked, though she could already guess from Kevin's smile. "We passed," All of them. The Pan-Dimensional Collective has officially recognized humanity as the first Type X civilization in galactic history. Lisa felt relief wash over her. The tests had been incredibly difficult. Humanity had been required to prove they could use reality manipulation responsibly, solve problems that had stumped advanced civilizations for millions of years, and demonstrate that their chaotic approach to science would not destroy the universe. What were the final numbers, she asked. Kevin consulted his tablet. We have established permanent bases in 47 alternate realities. Each base is studying different aspects of human development and sharing information with all the others. Our combined technological advancement is now beyond what any single reality could have achieved. Through the window, Lisa watched a transport ship phase between realities as it carried supplies to one of their dimensional colonies. The sight still amazed her, even after months of seeing it regularly. Fleet Admiral Jason Brooks joined them on the observation deck. He commanded the Multi-Dimensional Defense Force, which was responsible for protecting humanity's expanding reality network. Madam President, he said, I have the report from the Galactic Council meeting. How did they react to our new status? Lisa asked. Jason grinned. They created a new classification system. Apparently, our development has been so unprecedented that their old categories do not work anymore. They are calling us a transcendent species, one that has achieved multi-dimensional existence through unconventional means. Lisa nodded. She had expected something like this. In less than a year, humanity had gone from being a young species struggling to understand basic space travel to becoming the first civilization in their galactic sector to master reality manipulation. There is more news, Kevin said. Jake Morrison has been selected as Earth's first ambassador to the Pan-Dimensional Council. Observer Prime specifically requested him. Lisa was not surprised. Jake, whose simple mistake had started this entire journey, had become the leading expert on human-style reality manipulation. He had worked with alternate versions of himself, from dozens of realities to develop techniques that even advanced pan-dimensional entities found impressive. Where is Jake now? She asked. In Laboratory Complex 7, working with his alternates on something they are calling the Reality Integration Project, Kevin replied. Lisa decided to visit Jake before the big ceremony later that day. She took a transport pod through the station's dimensional corridors, passing windows that showed views of different realities. In one, Earth was covered with massive forests instead of cities. In another, the continents were arranged completely differently. In a third, twin moons hung in the sky. She found Jake in a laboratory that looked like something from a science fiction movie. Dozens of Jake Morrisons from different realities worked at various stations, each bringing knowledge from their own version of human development. Madam President, the original Jake said when he saw her. Perfect timing. We just made a breakthrough that I think will interest you. Jake led her to a massive display screen that showed a map of dimensional space. Thousands of points of light connected by glowing lines created a web that stretched in all directions. What am I looking at? Lisa asked. The complete reality network that humanity has access to, Jake explained. We started with one accidental connection to alternate realities. Now we have confirmed contact with over 15,000 different versions of human civilization. Lisa stared at the display. 15,000, and growing every day. Each reality we contact gives us access to their contacts, creating an exponential expansion of the network. We are not just connecting alternate versions of Earth. We are connecting alternate versions of human space colonies, different versions of first contact with aliens, different versions of technological development. One of the alternate Jakes, this one with gray hair and wearing a formal coat, walked over to join them. Madam President, I am Jake Morrison from Reality K247. In our timeline, humans achieved interstellar travel 300 years ago. We have colonies in 40 star systems. Lisa felt amazed. And you are sharing that knowledge with all the other realities? Of course, the gray-haired Jake said. That is the beauty of the reality network. Each version of humanity has different strengths and knowledge. Combined, we represent the sum total of all possible human achievement. The original Jake activated another display. But here is the really interesting part. We have started detecting realities where humanity developed in ways that we never imagined possible. The new display showed images that Lisa had trouble understanding. Humans made of energy instead of matter. Humans who had evolved to live in space without ships. Humans who had merged with artificial intelligence to become something entirely new. We are learning that human is a much broader category than we ever realized, Jake explained. Every possible path of human evolution exists somewhere in the reality network. Lisa felt overwhelmed by the implications. What does this mean for our future? It means, said Observer Prime's voice from behind them, that humanity has become something unprecedented in cosmic history. Lisa turned to see the pan-dimensional entity's shifting geometric form materialize in the laboratory. She was getting used to Observer Prime's sudden appearances, though the sight still made her slightly dizzy. Observer Prime, she said, we were not expecting you. I wanted to personally congratulate Ambassador Morrison on his appointment, Observer Prime replied, and to share some news that will interest you all. Jake looked curious. What news? The Pan-Dimensional Council has made a decision about humanity's role in cosmic development. We are formally requesting that humans begin teaching reality manipulation to other species. Lisa was surprised. You want us to teach other species our techniques? Your chaotic, experimental approach to problem-solving has proven to be incredibly effective. Other species have been trying to achieve what you accomplished by accident for millions of years. We believe that human-style thinking could accelerate the evolution of dozens of civilizations. The gray-haired Jake from Reality K247 stepped forward. What about the dangers? You said our methods could be destructive. They can be, if used carelessly, Observer Prime agreed. But your species has proven that it can learn to control its chaotic nature without losing its innovative spirit. That is a rare combination. Lisa thought about everything that had happened since Jake's original accident. So we would become teachers to advanced alien civilizations? More than teachers, guides, partners in cosmic evolution. Humanity would become the species that helps others break through the limitations of conventional thinking. Jake looked at all his alternate selves, then at Lisa. Madam President, I think we are being offered the chance to become something that has never existed before in the universe. What is that? Lisa asked. The species that helps other species transcend their limitations and achieve their full potential. Lisa looked around the laboratory at the dozens of Jake Morrisons working together across dimensional barriers, at the displays showing thousands of connected realities, at Observer Prime's advanced form. A year ago, we were just trying to build a simple time machine, she said. Jake laughed. Yeah, and instead we accidentally became the most important species in galactic history. Observer Prime's form pulsed with what Lisa had learned was its version of amusement. That is exactly why you are so valuable. Only humans would turn a laboratory accident into a cosmic revolution. Later that day, Lisa stood before the assembled representatives of humanity's multidimensional civilization. Thousands of people from dozens of realities had gathered for the ceremony. Jake Morrison, who had started it all with a simple mistake, was being sworn in as humanity's first pan-dimensional ambassador. Jake, Lisa said during her speech, when you started this project, what did you expect to achieve? Jake stepped up to the microphone. Honestly, Madam President, I just wanted to see if we could send a coffee mug back in time by 30 seconds. The crowd laughed. Instead, Jake continued, we accidentally proved that human curiosity and willingness to experiment with dangerous ideas is our greatest gift to the universe. We did not just break through the barriers of time and space. We showed that sometimes the best way to solve impossible problems is to try things that everyone else thinks are too risky. Lisa nodded. And now? Jake looked out at the crowd of humans from dozens of different realities, then at the alien observers who had come to witness the ceremony. Now we get to help other species discover their own version of human chaos. We get to be the species that encourages others to try impossible things and see what happens. Jake paused and smiled. In other words, we get to be human on a